morning we're going to talk about the best or the cheapest coach. The best or the cheapest coach. So which is it for you? So this is a golf analogy. And I know a lot of you, most of you probably don't play golf or know about golf. But if you turn on golf this weekend, for the PGA tournament of the weekend, which I'm not even sure where they're playing, but the guy who won the US Open a few weeks ago, which is, other than the Masters, the most prestigious golf tournament in the world, and the guy who's leading the golf tournament this weekend is a guy named Bryson Dechambeau. And Bryson grew up right out here in these fields. So I'm kind of around Clovis, Fresno, Madera, California. I'm about 40 minutes from my ranch. And a couple of interesting things came together last week. So I was reading about Bryson Dechambeau because I watched him win the US Open. And the interesting thing about Bryson is he uses a completely radical, different golf swing, golf clubs, golf grip. Everything's totally different. Like nobody else on the tour uses the same kind of clubs or swings the way Bryson does. And of course, he won the tournament. He won the US Open, which was a big, big deal. So everybody's interested now in why and how Bryson does what he does. So I was interested because I noticed Bryson uses what's called over-length clubs and same length clubs. And I used to do that a long time ago. And so I was kind of fascinated with, well, who's his coach and how's he getting set up to do that? And so last week, a buddy of mine and I were going to go play golf. And I said, well, where are we going to play? And he said, well, let's go down to Dragonfly. I'd never been there. It's right here. I'm at Dragonfly. It's in Madera, California. It's a little public course in the riverbed of the San Joaquin River. And so I come down here and I kind of put two and two together after looking around and reading some things about Dragonfly. And anyway, this is where Bryson Dechambeau's golf coach, not currently, but up until a few years ago, this is where his golf coach is. That's nice to set up right over there if you see those tents. And so this morning I had my first lesson from Bryson Dechambeau's golf coach. And why is that the subject of Alive? Because here's my mission in golf. I'm 65 years old and I'm about a 9 handicap, 9.4 actually, if you know what that means, which means I'm a pretty decent golfer. But I'm never going to get to be a scratch golfer, which is like, for a recreational golfer, that's really good. If you're a scratch golfer, you're really good. If you're a 65-year-old scratch golfer, you're awesome, right? That's like really extraordinary. And I'm never going to get to be a scratch golfer at the age of 65 or 66 or 67 unless I have like the best coach possible, right? So this was my great fortune, which was some serendipity, like just the stars aligned, and for some reason my buddy brings me to play this golf course last week, and for some odd reason Bryson Dechambeau's golf coach works out of this golf course. So here I am, and can I pass up this opportunity to be coached by somebody who's coached somebody to be number one in the world? Absolutely not. So I'm only going to be here for another 2-3 weeks, but I'm going to be taking lessons a lot from Mike, who is a very fascinating guy. He and I spent most of the time this morning talking about the mental game as opposed to the physical game. And so how does this apply to you? Well, the question is, what are you up to? What are you wanting to build? Who do you want to become? What do you want to do? How much money do you want to earn? What kind of fitness do you want to create? What kind of relationship do you want with your spouse? And have you maxed out your own ability to get there? See, as a golfer, folks, I've had lessons, I've had lessons from people that charge, $50 an hour. And, I practiced and I played and I've read and I've paid attention and I got all the golf gizmos in the world. And it got me to a 9.4 handicap. And that's as far as I can go with all those tools. So if I want to get to scratch, I can tell you it's going to be harder to go from 9.4 to 0 than it was to go from 29 to 9.4 because I'm going for rarefied air. You can't do that without a coach. And you can't do it with a cheap coach, right? You can't do it with the coach that got you to 9.4. Hey, Siri, shut up. You got to do it with the best coach you can find. So these are just questions for you. These aren't telling you what you should do. These are just questions. What are you up to? And do your results suggest that you have plateaued? Like you've gotten as far as you can get? And if your results suggest that you've gotten as far as you can get, maybe you need a different coach. Maybe you need a coach to begin with. And if you say, well, it's not a fair analysis that, have I gotten to as far as I can go because I haven't actually done what I know I need to do. Well, of course not. But that's one of the primary roles of a coach, right? A coach doesn't necessarily tell you what to do. A coach necessarily asks you what needs to happen for you to do it. Who do you need to be for you to do what you already know how to do? Any of you that have ever watched The Secret Formula understand that, gosh, building a business is actually really easy. It's really simple. What's missing is the motivation. What's missing is the perspective to do the work we already know how to do. So if you already know how to do something and you're not doing it, then we could surmise that you've gone as far as you can go, self-coaching or cheap coaching, right? And if you want to go the distance, you might want to re-look at who you've got coaching you. You might want to come to Dragonfly Golf Club in Madera, California and hire the best of the best. And that's Daily Dose of Salt. You could answer those questions if you want in the comments. What are you up to? Have you gotten as far as you can go on your own or with cheap coaches? Are you ready for an expensive coach? Well, that really depends on what you're up to, right? I'll see you guys tomorrow.